Ace, King, Queen, Jack of Diamonds, and Pocket Nines, and what a flop. I can't believe what I'm seeing.
At the main feature table, Ryan Reese is facing a raise from Tobias Reinkemeyer. King, Queen suited for Ryan, and he calls. Round to Mike McDonald in the small blind, he passes. Paul Newey in the big blind. There's ace deuce of spades.
Oh yeah, nut flush draw, get in it. Certainly getting the right price.
Newey calls as well. This is a three-way party. Reinkemeyer ahead for now with pocket tens. Wow, it's all spades. Nut flush for Newey, second nut flush for Reese, an overpair, and a flush draw of his own for Reinkemeyer.
I haven't seen a deck this cold since EPT Siberia.
Action checked around to Reese.
Ryan Reese is going to get a lot of hate if he goes broke here, but honestly, there is nothing this kid can do. Cabs are here.
He bets 11,000. Not much for Newey to worry about. Yes, there's a potential straight flush out there, but still. He just calls.
I forgot all about Tobias. Big pair, big spade, little chips. He could be in some real trouble here.
All in.
Reinkemeyer shoves. All in for 69,200.
Here we come.
Yeah, good.
And Ryan cannot fold.
Maybe 60. 60.
That's 20s.
That's 22.
Boy, this is just a silly cooler. I haven't seen a cooler this silly since Carrot Top's lunchbox.
It's 45. 45, 22 is 67, 68, 69. 69,200 total.
Michael.
Ryan Reese calls for most of his chips. Paul Newey's got him well covered.
Give him a second to disregard that he could be losing the 4-7 of spades. And... okay, maybe 3 seconds. No more than 5, though.
He puts Reese all in.
Michael.
And Reese calls.
Not only is Reese going broke, but he's going to get lambasted over social media. And fairly unjustly, too, I would say.
Good luck, guys.
Reese drawing dead. Reinkemeyer needing running cards. There's a slim chance of a split pot.
Let's do this. Come on. 7 of spades is okay. Give us a sweat. I take both. Like, just...
The turn card is the Queen of Diamonds. It's over.
A good card.
Double elimination.
Ryan Reese, we hardly knew ye.
See you guys.
Queen Jack for Heaton. He's going to open this one up, it looks like, from the cutoff. 14,000 to go, he says.
Oh, pocket sixes for Gavin Hall.
What do you do here if you're Gavin Hall?
Well, he's got about 30 big blinds, so I'm very, very rarely flatting a hand like sixes in order to basically set mine. I would probably 3-bet, particularly when it's over a late position raiser.
And then you have to get it in if Heaton shoves with that stack.
Of course,
right.
yeah. You can't 3-bet fold with 30 big blinds stacked.
Well, he's just called, and Dave Colclough surprisingly calls with pocket tens.
That's a very passive play, which I don't really like. Dave could make a nice squeeze play here.
Looks like he could be bluffing.
Exactly.
Actually has it. Yeah.
Over these two opponents who are thinking opponents. Whoa! Sets over sets everywhere.
That should not be allowed.
That's just horrible.
Look at Dave casually bantering with the waitress. I'm not interested. Nothing going on here.
And there's an open-ended straight draw for Heaton as well.
That's an absolutely ridiculous flop. How can you have a set and only have a 5% chance of winning the hand?
It's horrible.
It's just wrong.
And he's going to fire out what he thinks is the best hand.
It is horrible. Imagine sitting there being Gavin Hall. You think you're going to get all the money on the table.
Dave Colclough has made a small raise, and it's now back to Heaton, who is going to have to decide whether he wants to commit his basically entire stack with his open-ender. With facing that action, I don't think he can, and he makes a good fold. Now back to Hall, who... yeah, there it goes.
Just a dramatic pause to make sure he gets a call, but he actually doesn't want one. This is horrible.
Yeah, very, very unlucky for him. He does have the option of running diamonds as well as the K6. But
Okay, I'll buy it. Not dead yet.
not dead yet, but drawing very slim.
Dream spot for Dave Colclough. 7 of spades is a blank.
Just the one out now.
Quads on the river, anyone?
Oh, no.
No.
That would have made the straight for Heaton as well, who's probably shaking his head in frustration.
Not as much as as Tall, though.
Nice re-raise, Dave. I'll be honest, I didn't think he was that strong, I must admit.
Well, we've got a three-way pot here between Bobby Zhang. We've got Thomas Miller and we've got Arthur Corrin, all in a three-way pot. Ace, King, Queen, Jack of Diamonds and Pocket Nines, and what a flop. I can't believe what I'm seeing. It's a King 9-3 flop, 2 diamonds. Joe, talk us through. This is
flop.
Everybody's got something.
Everyone can get their chips in the middle here for sure.
Oh, Bobby's got a set. Thomas Miller with Ace, King, who would have felt really confident on that flop. And it's a bet and a call.
This is a really good spot for Corrin to squeeze with his Jack Queen of Diamonds. Very deceptive by Bobby to just call. You know, he just decided to call.
So we go to the turn. The turn, a repeat king now. So Thomas Miller with trips, but Bobby Zhang has turned a full house. And, well, Arthur Corrin's, you know, his hand is still live in his head.
Yeah, but he's drawing dead. He doesn't know it.
What an incredible hand. 3 players hitting this really hard.
So Miller is probably copped at the worst here because he's got trips with top kicker. If you look at the stats, he's still got a 17% chance of winning the hand because if a 3 comes off, he wins. If an ace comes off, he wins. And if a king comes off, he wins. But at the moment,
it's Bobby Zhang.
Bobby Zhang's got the lock on the hand.
From Melbourne, Australia, has had some success with a little over or a little under 350,000 in tournament earnings. Arthur Corrin from Austria with 1.2 million in career earnings. And Thomas Miller has announced all in. Bobby Zhang now facing either a call or a re-raise. What does he do? Does he try and keep Arthur in the hand by calling, or does he re-raise and isolate now?
Corrin's not calling. Doesn't matter what happens. He's never in. I mean, Bobby doesn't know that though. But the correct play is just a call.
Taking his time.
Because he wants Corrin to call, right? Like, so he's going to do whatever he can to make it look like, because he doesn't know what Corrin's got, so he wants him to call. In his mind, Bobby is hoping that they both have a king. Or maybe Corrin's got, slow played his set of 3s,
And little does Thomas Miller know that he's just moved in for 315,000 and is facing elimination. He doesn't know it yet. All the chips are in front of him. He thinks he's got a hammerlock on the hand. Bobby Zhang now counting out the chips and announces call. And Corrin gets out of the way, so Thomas Miller turns it over and will now see his fate in the hands of Bobby Zhang's pocket 9s, and like you said, Joe, drawing very thin. Still a 16% chance to outdraw him on the river. A 3, a king. What are we looking for? A jack is not what we're looking for, so he taps the table. Thomas Miller played very well during this tournament, Joe, I must say.
Habernig now the chip leader once again. Ace-10 of clubs on the button.
Big starting hand. I mean, it's a big hand all the time, really, but heads up, this is a monster. This is as good as ace-king at a full table.
He raises to 170,000. Vardanega with ace-7 offsuit.
This could be a disaster for Vardanega. Ace-7 also a really big hand for a heads-up match. You're never going to fold here. The question, does he call or re-raise?
He decides to raise.
And that's fine. He knows he has the best hand here much more than half the time. Probably 70–80% of the time he's in the lead with the ace-7. He doesn't want to give another cheap flop to Habernig like he did with aces versus the 8-4 offsuit.
There's the raise from Vardanega to 395,000. If you're Habernig, you just saw your opponent just smooth call with the aces. Do you now know that Vardanega is not that strong because he's re-raised?
Well, I mean, this is heads up. Your opponent hopefully is mixing it up well if he's playing well. So you can't assume anything here. But just ace-10 is a big hand. So he could play this either way. He can call or he can 4-bet, but folding really isn't part of the equation.
Habernig decides just to call. He is in position. He'll get to act last on the flop, the turn, and the river.
And that's a big part of why he called. Plus his hand is suited, so he has that long shot chance of flopping the nut flush.
Booyah! Ace 7-10. Vardanega with 2-pair. Habernig with top 2-pair.
Well, this is much more of a lucky hand than cracking the aces.
Is there any way Vardanega gets away from the ace-7?
I don't think so. The only way he's going to get away from ace-7 is if a 10 hits the turn, because then he knows that his kicker basically doesn't play. He might get away from it then, but even then, probably not. You know, he's probably not supposed to ever get away from this hand.
Heads up. Both players flop 2-pair. Habernig has Vardanega covered. Vardanega bets 480,000.
Yeah, obviously it's very debatable how Habernig should play his hand now, but we know that all the money's going all in no matter what. It really doesn't matter here. But, of course, Habernig doesn't know that Vardanega has flopped aces up as well. If he knew that, he would just shove in now and save us time.
He decides just to call. Vardanega needs a 7 to win this. He can also chop it if it comes running jacks, running queens, or running kings. Well, there's a queen of diamonds. If another queen were to fall, it would be a chop pot. Both players would have aces and queens with a 10 kicker.
Yeah, but obviously Vardanega's not thinking about that at all. He's still assuming that my aces and 7s is the best hand. And even though there's another overcard on the board to the 10, Habernig is assuming that his aces and 10s is the best hand. Fortunately for him, he's the one who's right.
Both players trying to figure out how to get all the chips in the middle. Unfortunately for the Brazilian, he is really up against it. Vardanega checks. There's the bet. There's the all-in. There's the call. That's it. Habernig in great shape to win this pot and win the tournament. Vardanega needs a 7 to win, a queen to chop it. Here it is, the river. Both players on their feet. All the Brazilians rooting for a 7. Siete, siete.
How about the 10? Good hand, man. Thanks.
Habernig not looking very comfortable for a man with such a commanding lead. Huge favorite to win this pot.
Here's the river, the jack of diamonds, and that's it. Habernig wins the tournament. He is our LAPT Florianopolis champion. Dion Vardanega, the Brazilian, a valiant effort. He makes the comeback, but it's not enough.
I think in this format, which is a single table competition, right, for all intents and purposes, that I think a lot of it just has to do with what cards you're dealt. Like sometimes you flop a straight when someone else flops 2-pair.
Cooler alert. Cooler alert. And I do not think Dan Smith has enough chips for Marvin to ever fold. Not that you ever would with 2-pair.
So go ahead and double check that straight. Okay. I think I'm going to call.
You can shove with your left, you can shove with your right, but I'm guessing you probably shove here no matter what, because there's so many types of hands that you'll get called with. Ace, king, any ace, jack, queen, jack, 10,
you can
queen,
make it
2
look,
tens.
I mean, it's such a bluff, semi-bluffing board. You can make it look really bluffy. It doesn't really matter. It was all going in.
And 4 outs here for Mad Marvin, or else Dan Smith is going to get USA back in the groove.
Dealer could just put the queen 9 out there and make everyone real irritated.
Let's see. Stranger things have happened, but it would not be fair. Okay, now a 10 extra out here for Mad Marvin. Ouch!
Oh, he gets there.
And Bedlam here. Dan Smith, there is nothing left in the egg.